published 17:30 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 10th of May 2018, updated 2028 Eastern Daylight Saving Time, the 10th of May 2018. Shock and, indeed, horror. The Premier League fixed the fixtures. Well, not fix, exactly. Plan, that would be the better word. Arrange, maybe. They keep the top 6 teams apart on the opening and final weekends of the season. And we are meant to be outraged by this. For most, the reaction will be little more than a shrug. Tell us something we didn't know. Anyone who still believes in the famous computer spewing out its pairings at random is probably still committed to Father Christmas, the Easter Bunny, and the inevitability of Jeremy Corbyn as the next Prime Minister. Premier League ties are managed so the top 6 are kept apart on opening and final weekends, so those Super Sundays, clashing derby days in North and South, prime-timed collisions to overshadow international breaks or rival major events in other sports do not happen by accident. We're not stupid. Wow, Manchester United versus Liverpool and Arsenal against Chelsea on the same weekend, again. Well, what are the chances of that happening? The thing is, what the Premier League cooks up doesn't harm its competition in the least. The season does not need contrived marquee openings or showy grand finales. Most weeks, excitement just happens. Not this Sunday, admittedly. The final Champions League slot requires no more than Liverpool to draw at home to Brighton, while a 10-goal swing is needed to adjust the relegation placings. So it's a bit anticlimactic. But still not as much as it would have been if, say, the Manchester derby had been saved until last with City a yawning gap clear. Only a showdown between Chelsea and Liverpool could make the battle at the top interesting, and that happened as recently as last week anyway. Some major clubs to meet in the final weeks of the season. It just occurs by chance, with cup commitments causing rearrangements, rather than by special command. Over the last 3 seasons, the final 4 fixtures of the campaign have brought games between Chelsea and Tottenham, Manchester City and Arsenal, and Liverpool and Chelsea 2016, Tottenham and Manchester United 2017, and Manchester United and Arsenal and Chelsea and Liverpool 2018. Not forgetting that in 2016 Leicester were actually the best team in the country, with a fixture list that included Manchester United and Chelsea away in the final 3 fixtures. Meaning stuff happens, as it will over a program of 380 matches. Inadvertently, the fixtures throw up little cup finals all the time. Who would have imagined that Swansea v Southampton would turn into one of the most crucial matches of the season, or that a routine meeting between Chelsea and Huddersfield at Stamford Bridge would produce such extremes of emotion? Not everything has to be names. Not all seasons must come to a last-day crescendo. Big fixtures are still served up late in the campaign, as seen with Chelsea and Liverpool. Arsenal's game at Anfield in 1989 remains a high point, Michael Thomas scoring late to snatch the title from Liverpool, but that was a result of tragedy, not clever preparation. The game was supposed to take place on April 23, but was postponed following the Hillsborough disaster 8 days earlier. So it wasn't a scheduled finale. Indeed, it was the first time since 1952 that 2 teams faced each other on the final day to decide the title. The narrative of a season cannot be choreographed that precisely. Anyway, it doesn't matter. If a head-to-head meeting is the pinnacle, variations are no less compelling these days through modern technology. When Sergio Aguero decided the title with almost the last kick in 2012, it didn't matter that the team Manchester City beat Manchester United were not on the pitch. City were at home to QPR, United at Sunderland. The drama as broadcasters cut between the venues, jubilation turning to distress, despair to elation, was what made those final moments so compelling. This is not 1952. If the title is being decided, the cameras will be there and it will feel like the teams are in the same arena even if they are separated by 200 miles. Just as it will on Sunday if Liverpool are losing at home and Chelsea winning at St James Park. That there are two other teams who can influence the outcome, Brighton and Newcastle, only adds to the tension. As every league, in every sport, eyes foreign markets, there is talk of changing formats. The Premier League started it by entertaining a 39th game, but La Liga are hastening in that direction too. Media marketing companies are interested in taking Spanish games to China, but there is a problem. Barcelona and Real Madrid are considered a more saleable commodity than La Liga in Asia. In a way, Manchester United and Liverpool, for instance, are not. English football is more competitive and there are different clubs for Chinese fans, said Yuan Bai of Titan Sports in Beijing, but there are only two in Spain. If you want Chinese fans to watch more games, there have to be more than 2 Clásicos every season, but, domestically, who would favor that? A never-ending collision of the biggest names, so that the fixture is watered down, much like Rangers and Celtic. The Old Firm met 5 times this season, 6 times in 2016-17. The arrival of Steven Gerrard may command attention, but, increasingly, the game has lost its meaning. In the title-winning season, Leicester still had to play Manchester United and Chelsea late on, as Barcelona and Real Madrid would, if it was played 6 times a year, as Manchester United and Liverpool would were it manipulated to be the closer to every season. Here comes another one, just like the other one. Who cares? To keep the biggest games back would risk making them redundant, too. Manchester City won the league from 5 games out this season. Manchester United have also done that in the Premier League era. So what if the run down the home straight had included meetings with Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal? Dead rubbers all. Glenn Hoddle felt that his predecessor as England manager, Terry Venables, stitched him up in the fixture planning meeting for the 1998 World Cup qualifiers. England were scheduled to go to Italy in the last game. Hoddle thought that Venables had left him facing a daunting cup final. Venables saw it differently. If England did the job, he reasoned, they could be through and the toughest fixture would be meaningless. If the group was still live, then at least England would know what they had to do, and it wouldn't matter, home or away. He was right. Despite losing to Italy at Wembley, England went to Rome knowing they needed a point to qualify, and got a 0-0 draw. Had they won at home, the away fixture would have been irrelevant. The detail of the way the Premier League programme is arranged came out in the tender document for broadcast rights for seasons 2019-20 to 2021-22. It promises rights holders that there will be at least one match between top 6 clubs, a calculation now taken over 3 seasons, to avoid anomalies like Chelsea's 10th place finish across 26 weekend fixture programs, but this will always exclude opening weekend and the final round of games. Understandably so. La Liga are trying to broaden their appeal, but would have to play El Clasico more frequently. The Premier League does not need to capture the imagination of the public in its first week, a summer of new signings and managerial changes, plus the enduring optimism of fans, will do that. Equally, when the 38th game comes around, the destination of the title, relegation issues, and European qualification has the potential to make even the most mundane encounter captivating. It is in the midst of winter, when reality has dawned, a predictable pattern is emerging and there is disillusionment with a competition that often divides from richest to poorest, that the Premier League needs to keep the fire alive. Some think this is the best in the world. It isn't, but it is the most successful. And to be that, it has to be the best run, the best planned, have the strongest vision, know exactly what it is, and what it must deliver. And each season it does that beautifully. What did we think? That this was all the work of a random fixture generator? If the Premier League has a smart computer, it has smarter people operating it. That's why the other leagues scramble just to keep up. It is a great pity that the move to Everton does not appear to have worked out for Wayne Rooney. It would have been wonderful if he could have sparked a revival on the blue half of Merseyside. He did score arguably the goal of the season while there, though, from long range against West Ham, and his hat-trick in that game is the moment Everton turned the corner, so it wasn't all bad. If he wants to be a manager, maybe one day he'll be back. He never talked like he was doing Everton a favour either, unlike some. It is a great pity that Wayne Rooney's Everton return does not appear to have worked out. Renato Sanchez has gone from not being good enough for Bayern Munich to not being good enough for Swansea. He cannot get into a team that is almost certain to be relegated on Sunday. Undaunted, he has released his own emoji. Swansea fans are understandably upset at the timing, Sanchez thinking only of self-promotion as his team dropped like a stone. An equally central issue is, who would want it? Who recognizes Sanchez after this dismal season? He's hardly a household name, hardly high profile, and what would his emoji symbolize? Unfulfilled promise, a career going down the tubes, an upcoming visit to Wigan, perhaps. Renato Sanchez can't even get into Swansea's team, but is bringing out his own emoji soon. The violence at Goodwood last Saturday was timely. Cricket now knows what it has to look forward to. A brawl involving up to 50 racegoers marred a Sunday bank holiday meeting. Exchanges of chanting between groups in the bar exploding in brutality captured in sickening, graphic footage. One prone figure is seen being kicked in the head as he lays on the floor, and police report 4 were taken to hospital. Events like this remain very rare in our sport, said Racecourse Association Chief Executive Stephen Atkin. But they don't. There were scenes at the Guineas meeting in Newmarket a few years ago that resembled the Wild West. And if actual fights do not break out, the conditions that lead to them, extreme drunkenness, aggression, overcrowding, are commonplace. Why? Because racing has pursued a non-racing crowd, the same way cricket is increasingly dismissive of cricket lovers. Boozers. That's what they want. All-day or all-night drinkers, who will boost revenue at the bar and are more interested in an expensive trip to the champagne tent than a look at the paddock. Violence broke out at Goodwood last Saturday as racegoers became embroiled in fighting. Every major race meeting these days produces scenes of drunken debauchery, and as the British cannot handle their drink, or hot weather, a 50-man fight on the Susdowns is always a possibility. The 100, the ECB's latest attempt to sell the game to anyone but those who love it in most, is supposed to appeal to families and new customers. Yet the same was said of 2020, and now look at it. The louts have taken over. Many Friday night 2020 matches are beery, yobbish affairs, the last place anyone would want to take youngsters keen on cricket. It's a giant pub beer garden with a cricket match faintly attached, leery, boorish for sport incidental to the more dedicated pursuit of bleary oblivion. Why would the 100 be greatly different? It's aimed at the same audience. People who don't like cricket. People who wouldn't dream of engaging with the nuances of a test game, or even marveling at the skill in a well-played 2020 innings. They'll raucously cheer a six, but, really, if it's a choice between the sport and the bar, there is only one winner. The utter confusion as cricket thrashers around in search of a new audience could be felt in the fallout from the ECB's meeting with the Professional Cricketers Association. Daryl Mitchell, the PCA chairman, emerged with startling news about the 100 Test players won't be taking part, he said. The likes of Joe Root and Ben Stokes will be allocated to a team for marketing purposes, but they won't play. The point was made that the new audience won't necessarily know who Stokes and Root are anyway. Cricket is falling into the same trap as racing and attracting a different kind of audience. Think about that one for a minute, because it's quite possible nobody at the ECB has. Cricket is attempting to attract a fan so ignorant of its virtues, he doesn't know England's captain or its best player. Yet the ECB is so stupid it plans to attach these two unknown figures to teams, not to play and attract interest with the skills, but for marketing purposes. And what exactly are they going to market if no one knows who they are? They might as well get someone in from Geordie Shore. In fact, why stop there? Let the mug from Geordie Shore open the batting. It would make as much sense as wasting the time of England's captain, having him promote a competition few care about to a room full of people who don't know who he is. Still, racing thinks it has been very successful, if we can ignore the sirens, in locating its new audience. Maybe cricket will find one, too. The undercard starts at 7 p.m. When Tony Fernandes completed his takeover of Queen's Park Rangers on August 18, 2011, they were a Premier League club, albeit one who had just lost 4-0 at home to Bolton. Coming up 7 years and approaching 7 managers later, Rangers finished 16th in the Championship. Asked how he would grade his work at the club so far, Fernandes awarded himself a C+. There will be many GCSE, A-level and graduate students at this time of the year hoping for such a generous marking system.